Hello and welcome to the Bear Right Trail podcast. I am the host, Sam Kirk, here tonight with two wonderful guests to start off our JFK 50-mile coverage. I don't know what you would call it, maybe our content. And I have two great champions of the race here tonight. I have the most current men's champion and a course record holder, David Sinclair, and also the women's 70 plus record holder, the women's consecutive finishes record holder, the women's championship account record holder, and the women's finish record holder here tonight, Carolyn Showalter. So welcome to both of you to the podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah. I'm so incredibly stoked. We have generations of talent here in this room. We have perspectives from both the front of the competitive race at this time and also the history of JFK going back for decades. And so this is super, super exciting. And this is just what a great way to kick off JFK week, but with this chat tonight. So I want to get started with getting to know the two of you. This is my first time meeting you, and it's your first time meeting each other. So wanted to get started off. Carolyn, maybe we can start with you just on kind of like who you are, to the people who know you the best. Who is Carolyn Showalter?
I guess I could talk about my family first. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and 2 of the brothers play into my story with the JFK. I also have 6 nephews and 12 nieces. And I'm single and don't have any kids. At least I have an extended family. And I work for one of my brothers. We are both CPAs, and he has his office in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. And I worked for him for 30-some years.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a theme of consistency with you here and kind of sticking.
Yeah.
And David, who are you to the people who know you best?
Who am I? I think I'm just a committed friend, and I think pretty down to earth, and simple guy, but a good friend to have. So
Always a good thing. Yeah, I think that we all appreciate those people that we can count on as good friends, whether they are our accountant or our running buddy. Absolutely. So that was like the other question that I kind of wanted to ask is, what is your relationship with running? I think, we all got our start somehow. David, like how did things get started for you?
I think I always had a love for running from a young age. Was just very active, did all sorts of sports, but early on I liked running, and my dad had run some marathons and road races, so I was pretty interested in running from a young age, doing like fun runs and short little runs, and then got into competitive like cross country running about like 7th grade, and from there like my love of running just blossomed. So yeah, I've been running competitively, pretty much my whole life. And yeah, I just really, really enjoy the process of setting goals and chasing goals and being outside, getting exercise. So yeah, it's a lifelong passion.
Yeah, you're a skier as well, though, right?
Yep. So I grew up in Vermont, and so I would run kind of the non-snowy season, but my main sport like through high school and college was cross country skiing. So running was like a competitive outlet, but also the base training and a lot of the preparation for ski season was running around. So did like cross country running races, but also just a lot of time like in the mountains and on the trails here in Vermont. So that's kind of where my love of trail running grew out of.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I I didn't do a lot of running in Vermont. I've done a little bit in New Hampshire and things like that, and the Whites and things along those lines. Um, but it's sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's heinous, right? I mean, up in those mountains.
Yeah, we have some really tough mountain trails, and they're technical, and they can be muddy and rocky and rooty. So it makes you really good on the technical terrain, and you just like get an appreciation for like how pace can vary. You can't worry about it. You're just enjoying the mountains, and yeah, getting to spend time outside.
Yeah. Carolyn, how about you? How did you get started all those years ago?
Well, even as a child, I always enjoyed games and things that involved running. Um, and then, like, I enjoyed phys ed in my junior high school. And my senior year, I played field hockey, basketball, and then field and track, which they all involve running to a certain extent. And then I didn't
Yeah.
I worked for a while, and during those years is when I started running the JFK. And so, backstory: two of my brothers. My brother Lowell is 3 years younger than me, and Lyndon is 2 years or 5 years younger. And they both first ran the JFK as teenagers. I think Lyndon was 15 and Lowell was 16. Horrendous year that had the freezing cold, like 30-degree temperatures and freezing rain the whole day. And
Ouch.
they got as far as 30 miles and just could not go any further, with being chilled to the bone. And the following year, they came back and both finished the next year. And that's the year that the date moved from March to November. Then in
Oh, you're saying that was in 1975
yeah, when my two
when they
brothers
did it?
finished the first time.
Yeah.
And then I followed them around with my parents a couple years, and then one year Lowell said to me, "Why don't you run the JFK?" So then I decided to do some training and run it the next. I don't remember.
But prior to that,
What's that?
were you running races and training for other things, or was this sort of like the first competitive race that you trained for?
Actually, I did the JFK before I did any marathon or shorter races. After I ran the JFK, I knew I could do 26 miles. So I did a few marathons over the years. You know,
Which ones did you do?
but see, I did Boston twice. That's where I had my PR of 3:01. I think 3:01. I ran it. Yeah, that's the year in '84 is when I ran that, and then I also ran Boston in '88. And I did a couple of times at Gettysburg. They used to have a marathon. Did one in Virginia Beach, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, Chambersburg,
Yeah, those are pretty local for you out there, right? So
Pennsylvania.
Carlisle, Chambersburg, Gettysburg would all be pretty local
Yeah,
for you. Yeah. Well, it's really interesting that you did the 50 first and then came back and did the 26.
yeah.
There's a guy on our Bear Right Trail team who his first race was 100 miles,
My,
and he worked, and he's racing JFK this year as well. I think he raced it last year, and he's going to you'll have a chance to maybe meet him next week. Nico, yeah. So he started at 100 and worked backwards. So good company there. That's really cool. That's really cool. So let's go to those first JFKs for each of you. One's might take a little bit more recalling there with you, Carolyn. So let's go back to that first JFK. What was that like stepping into 50 miles for your first big race?
I really don't remember too much about my training, except that my longest training run was 10 miles. Like back in those days, like people, I guess we didn't know better, that used to train with. But I got through it. I did some walking, and so my time that year, in hours, and but last few miles I was running in the dark, and like there was some cars parked along the road, and a couple of times I just had to stop and like lean over the car and catch my breath.
Yeah.
I did finally make it to the.
And what were you like eating when you were out there?
I can't hardly remember much about that. But they didn't have aid. They didn't have aid stations. At me, different spots. Yeah, no aid stations. And there's pumps along the C&O Canal that we got water from. Had to pump our water. I think they're.
That is
Completely different than these days. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So, David, what was your experience of the first
Yeah, so
day?
my first time was last year, and I was drawn to the race just because like it's such a cool historic race with so many years of being run, and so many great ultra runners over the years had raced it. So that was kind of the thing that piqued my interest into coming out and checking out the scene, and especially just I'd done a lot of like more mountainous 50K races, so I thought that the challenge, I'd done a few like road marathons, quite a few road marathons, but I'd never run like a flatter, faster 50 mile. So I was really excited to like have a new challenge. Yeah, I was just blown away by the grassroots feel of the event, and how like the people that are coming back year after year, they just love the event so much and they're so into it. So that has made me excited to come back.
David, you run races all over the world, right?
Yep.
Uh, in all different kinds of terrain. I've been around a few of the ones around the country, but yeah, this one definitely is. It's very different in which you have that marathon on the canal path that is just like it's unlike any other trail race sort of thing where you're just like, all right, we're just gonna put a straight flat marathon like in the middle of this race, and it's a bizarre
Yeah.
different.
I loved it, but I think it's such a unique challenge, especially with that like a full marathon on the towpath. And a lot of it, like I had never gone on it before, so a lot of it just kind of looks the same. It's winding along the river, and the trees look very similar. It's all like beautiful running, but you're on it for so many miles that there's sometimes you like are getting deja vu. Like, have I run this stretch before? Like, is it ever gonna stop? And yeah, so I know, and I was running fast, so I can't imagine what it feels like for a like the middle of the pack if you're just on that thing for 6, 7 plus hours. It's a long day, but it may not be like a race like some of the other ones that are like these destinations for these beautiful places, but it's still like beautiful in its own right, and definitely like the community sets it apart.
Yeah, so is that David, like what you would say is bringing you back,
Yeah,
after having such a successful first year and you know,
definitely, like, yeah, just how much it meant to the people that I got to meet there, and then just like looking at the history of all the runners that have done it, and like where the race came from. Yeah, it just made me really excited, and it was actually like a tough decision to come back because I it went so well last year that I thought I'd like completely nailed my pacing and my strategy, and just like had one of the best days of my career in running. So it actually made me more on the fence because like I'm still kind of stuck in my head like, well, like I could have a great race and not even come close to my performance from last year. But like it's such an elite list of like the people that have won the JFK. So I couldn't pass up the opportunity to come back and try to defend the win.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I don't know how many like I mean, Carolyn's a back-to-back winner, but I don't know how many back-to-back winners there are.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty short list. We should go through and look it up, but
Yeah.
hopefully that's the goal for next week. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be a competitive field.
Absolutely. People stay tuned. There will be a preview episode coming as well. But uh, Carolyn, David's coming back for one or at least one more. You've been coming back time and time again. So what got you hooked, and what's bringing you back to JFK over and over?
In the early days, I kept coming back to see how much I could better my time. The first 2 years was 11 hours and something, and then the third time it was 9 hours. I've actually never been in the 10-hour range over the years at all. So that's kind of a tidbit there. And another reason, because I live so close to I have a 30-minute drive to the start and about a 20-minute drive from the finish. Didn't have to about getting a hotel or airline flights to get to the race. Also,
Yeah.
a lot of the same people year after year, and it almost feels kind of like a.
That's cool. So is that I mean, years and years ago, I'm guessing, I mean, JFK was one of the few ultra marathons around. It's definitely been one of the biggest for years and years and years. Now that there are lots and lots more races, do you like feel compelled to try different races, or is it just like, you know what, JFK holds this special place. This is the one that I want to keep doing.
Yeah, I think that's how I've never really um, been inspired to try.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. You know, I feel like so many of us are, kind of looking at these, going to different places, seeking all kinds of different things, some of them external, some of them internal, but that's really, I think, an interesting perspective to go to one and see what you can do each and every time. That's pretty cool. I wanted to ask Carolyn. So you are a six-time champion of the race. I think you've had from my tally 17 top tens in those 37 finishes that you've
I
had.
think it was
Um,
I believe it
oh, it's 18. Maybe
was.
as I was going through, I missed one, but 100% congratulations on all of those. And I I'm expecting you had some really good battles in there. Like, you know, people that, you couldn't shake on the canal path or things along those lines. Are there any of those races that hold a really special memory for you?
There is one in particular in '89. Um, that would have been I'd won like 4 years previous to that, and I was in second place, coming within sight of the finish line. But I could see that the lady ahead of me was slowing down, so I happened to pass her about maybe 50 feet from the finish line, and then won by about
Yeah.
22 seconds. So that was my, I guess, biggest.
That was a close one.
Yeah,
But you didn't, was it something that was when you didn't see her till quite just like the very end?
right.
Did you
Wow.
know for miles that you were catching her, or you had no idea until like that last mile when you
Um,
could see her in ahead?
yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think people were telling me like she's just ahead at different checkpoints. So,
Yeah. And when you get out on the roads, you can kind of start to see for a pretty long time.
yeah,
Yeah, you can like catch on a hilltop. I remember, so my best finish was a seventh place, and I've like been emotionally broken, coming up off the canal, and I got to the top of the little climb there off of the canal path,
mm,
and I looked up like two, three hills ahead, and I could see people, and I was like, I hadn't seen anybody for the whole canal path,
well,
right? And then you get up there, and you can finally see somebody that's a little farther away, because that's the thing that is kind of deceiving about the canal path, is that it seems really straight, but it's always kind of curving a little bit,
right.
so you can't really see much, that far ahead of you. Maybe, I don't know, 200 meters or
Oh, yeah.
something. Um,
Definitely.
how about for you, David? Like, not necessarily for JFK, but do you have battles that hold a special place for you?
I've had a lot of close races over the years. I think there was the ragged 50K one year kind of jumps out where I'd been pretty far behind, and then I was catching up to the guy that was in the lead at the last 2 miles of downhill, and it ended up being a 1 second separation between me and Ben Robinson. So that's one of the closest ultras I've ever been in.
Okay, Ben, are you thinking Ben Robinson of Tunkhannock? This was
Yeah,
right up in,
ragged. It's been
yeah.
like the USATF 50K national championships, and so yeah, one of the years we had a pretty epic battle there.
Oh, wow.
So that was cool. That's definitely the closest finish in ultra I've ever had. And then thinking back to even like JFK last year, it's been fun like the last year or two between Eli Hemming and I. We've done a lot of the same races, so last year, Eli and I were like probably the two favorites coming into JFK, and I was pretty intimidated by him. And so my strategy was just to let Eli do as much leading as possible. And so we were, kind of running together in the lead pack for the whole like AT section of the trail. And then I got a little bit ahead at like the Weaverton checkpoint, but he was a former professional triathlete, so he was way faster than me. Was doing a shoe exchange to his his whatever gravel and road shoes. So he got a few seconds ahead of me, but I quickly caught back up, and then we just ran together like neck and neck all the way till 38 miles, and I could finally like sense he was slowing just a little bit, and I made a surge to be on my own. But I think we raced together earlier this year out in Broken Arrow, and we're together for most of the race until he broke away on the second lap, and then we're also together this year for like the first 50K of the 100K at CCC over in France. So it's been fun battling with him.
Oh, so is that kind of becoming one of your I don't know, I'm assuming friendly rivalries.
It's been a good friendly rivalry this year. So well, I don't know when we'll next meet up, but we're about 50-50 against each other for the last couple of years.
Do you converse with him whether he's going to be trying to get into Western States as well?
Yeah, I think I know he's tried a few of these races for golden tickets, and I believe he's going back to like the Black Canyon 100K. So yeah, I'd be excited to race him again this June at Western States.
Oh, that'll be cool. That'll be fun because that's fun that you have that sort of rivalry. You guys have been doing it across shorter distances and now both like stepping up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but no, it's part of what like keeps me in trail and ultra running is that there's so many awesome people that do it, and it's like all these races I go to now. It's like I know a bunch of especially like the Americans there, and like they've become good friends. So it's like makes it a lot easier when you have good friends, and it can be a rivalry and competitive. But at the end of the day, you can like get along and
Yeah.
be training buddies too.
Well, I mean, so as things have started to grow, for you, this is like one of the other questions I wanted to ask you guys is sort of how, throughout your careers and within the sport, how your perspective, and outlook changes and things like that. So David, like I think somewhat recently you've turned like fully professional within the sport. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, so I've been like trying to be a fully professional runner for just over a year now, and for like the first 8-10 years of being an ultra runner, I was like occasionally I'd make a little prize money and stuff, but like it was not really something I foresee being able to like call it a career. But so I've always been in the sport just because I love running and the challenge and the places it's taken me. But yeah, it's been kind of wild to watch like the sport grow and have more media attention and some more money coming in. Just like it's really fun and awesome right now. I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity right now to like call myself a professional runner and not have to have a full-time job. I'd love to hear what like it was been like over the years for Carolyn, like doing it at a different era where there's
yeah.
the like that last generation, like there was no media and just like so small and grassroots. So what's it been like for you? Yeah, so you've been doing it for so many years now.
Yeah, Carolyn, I think that sort of the question is like essentially, how things changed for you over the years because, running for several decades, going from, your first experience running well over 11 hours and then going to the pointy end of the field, winning multiple championships at JFK, sort of has your perspective on the sport evolved over that time?
So I guess when I was in my 30s, that was my prime years. I was in my best shape then. And then I also, so I won, I was 31, 2, 3, 35. And then I took maybe second and third places for a couple of years. And then when I was 40, I won the sixth time then. But then each year after that, I could see my times taking longer each. I could see the change from one year to the next. That I was in the 8 hour, then in the 9 hour.
Now, is it something where you always kind of like similarly focused on it, or like in your 30s, was that something where like, you know what, JFK, this is a focus for me. I want to win this race. I want to, I'm training to compete. Whereas maybe, in other times it was more casual, or has it kind of been consistent throughout?
So I kept track of how many miles I ran for the year. Early 30s, I was doing maybe 3,000 to 3,200 miles a year. And then I backed off. Later years, I was doing maybe 2,500. It's a big change from what I do now. And I'll get to that.
I'd love to hear what's your training look like now, especially you live close to the course. Do you spend a lot of time running on the course,
No, I've never.
or do you have any favorite workouts?
Yeah, I never trained on the Appalachian Trail. I just always just run on the day of the race. But after the 2003 race, like I didn't recover like I usually do, and I was having a problem with my right knee, and then went to different doctors, and then eventually I had arthroscopic surgery, and then the surgeon strongly advised me not to run after that. So I thought I thought my running days were over.
So you took a little time off.
Yeah.
Then, yeah. So was that like about 8 years you took off, or?
Yeah, 8 years.
Yeah.
Then what brought me back, it was the 50th anniversary of the event. So I thought to myself, well, maybe if I just train enough to get through it and make the cutoffs, that maybe I would just see how that would work out. And so I got through it and didn't have any problem with my knee. And that's kind of how I've been training. Like only run a fraction of the total number of miles, like 300 is about what I do for the whole year.
Yeah, I don't know whether you're posting all your running on Strava, Carolyn, but I found it kind of interesting to follow that it was like one really big long run a week.
Yeah.
And that was that. It was like, you know what? That's what I'm going to take the other 6 days to recover. Is that the formula now?
It is, yeah. And
I love
during
it.
tax season, I don't run at all. That's January through April.
Okay, yeah.
I think that gives me plenty of time to recover. And then I start back, and it seems to have worked. I just have to be satisfied with running in the 11 and 12 hour range now.
Yeah.
For finishing that.
Yeah, well, how are you feeling for this year? How are you feeling about the long runs that you've put in, and are you feeling good and energized and motivated for your run this year?
Yeah, I think I'm ready as much as I can be. Not sure what I'll shoot for. Maybe hopefully around 12 and a half.
Yeah. So with, did that time off, between your like highly competitive winning times, finishing always in the top 10 and things like that, did that break afterwards? Was there a perspective shift that happened there as well? I just know from my own experience here, I'm aging in the sport as well. I'm in my mid 40s now, but I'm kind of in a place where I kind of hold on to old PRs and, old speed, old workouts, these types of things, max heart rate, VO2 max. I'm holding on to all these types of things. And I wonder if there was ever a time for you in which, you had to come to terms with that at all, or it's been kind of just like, you know what, this is who I am.
As little as I've run now, I'm just thankful that I can still get out there and do that. There's no way my body could take what I used to, the mileage.
Yeah.
That's smart. You can't force it, or it'll just end. Do you do anything else during the week, like other cross training or things to stay injury free?
Yeah, over the time that I wasn't running, I got into cycling. I did some week-long events, not competitively, just a pleasure thing, and rode with friends. So I think that did help.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you've been doing adventures for some time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, David, I wanted to ask because we like within the sort of trail running scene the way it is right now. Most elite and competitive trail runners tend, like, at least this is my perspective. Everybody gets started on the East Coast and then moves west and never comes back. And you came back. So I want to know, what brought you back to the East Coast? What brought you back to Vermont? And like, we're really grateful to have you, but it seems so kind of counter to the moves that everybody else is making. Kind of wanted to know why.
Yeah, I mean Vermont's in like the East Coast is pretty special to my heart. So I did move out to like the Tahoe area in California and was a ski coach and was running out there for 5 years and I like absolutely loved it and the trails and the snow in the winters and incredible. But yeah, just like Vermont's home, so I've got a lot of good friends and like closer family here. So yeah, my partner and I, Isabel, we decided to move back and it was a tough decision, but yeah, we're loving Vermont.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you're
So,
you're
yeah.
finding
And I
community.
definitely like share that sentiment. So it did make me a little bit nervous at first to move back to Vermont and be like, oh, if I'm not training at altitude and up in the big mountains out west, will I continue to be as competitive, especially in like some of the more mountainous races? And I've found that like my training's just as good, and as long as you're like happy where you are, it's cool to like keep competing at a high level and prove that you can be one of the best trail runners in the world while training in the East Coast.
Yeah. Do you foresee yourself, kind of outside of JFK at this time in your career, competing in any other of the local races like Manitous or things up in New Hampshire, stuff like that?
Definitely, yeah. I want to do some more races. I've done like quite a few of like some of the shorter and like mountain races, but I haven't done a lot of like the big, you know, Eastern ultras. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
the
think
big
that
impact.
Manitou one I was looking at looks really cool, and it's just like gonna, I don't know that it'll happen, next year or which year, but there's lots of
Yeah.
really really cool races on the East Coast, and I feel like they're all so cool, but they don't get like the same amount of love as some of like the big international races or the big ultras on the West Coast, and it's kind of a shame really. So I would love to see like some of those races like grow and get a little more of the media attention. It really seems like JFK is one of the few that's like on people's
Yeah.
radar for East
Any
Coast.
particular ones that have, I mean, not to put you on the spot, but are there any particular ones that have kind of like piqued your interest that you're like, you know what, this is one that I kind of want to get to?
But not really off the top of my head. You said Manitous. I was like I ran in the Catskills and it looked really cool. Yeah, I think there's a lot of like races that I probably would like to do over the years, and especially like some of like the FKT like type longer efforts around here eventually would be on my radar too, because I think a lot of the best trails on the East Coast are through wilderness and areas that
Yeah.
they're never going to let you host a race, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's getting a little off topic here, but I'm gonna blank on the names and everything like that. But there was a 100-mile event. It wasn't a race that was done in the White Mountains earlier this year that I thought was really cool. And the way like set it up, there was like no entry fee. There was no. It was like all kind of volunteer oriented. It's not a race. It was just like this point to point experience for, I think maybe it might have been 100 runners, like 10 groups of 10 going across or 5 groups of 10. But just like there are some interesting events out there that
Yeah,
are,
no, that started as like it was like, designed the course as like it would be the ultimate most challenging like possible ever 100 miler, but
yeah,
is on train that you can never host a race, so you kind of
yeah,
have to do it like mostly self-supported FKT style, and then Run the Whites or like the Ski White shop decided they could within the rules like they could provide support to get more people to do it, but they couldn't
yeah.
charge a entry fee, and they had to set them off in like groups of 10 to like make it fit with like group size limits and permitting and everything. And yeah, but that looked really cool. I didn't get over to cheer watch, but that would be a pretty cool 100 miler to do someday.
Yeah, that's definitely bucket list for me. I was like, I gotta get up there and try to do that for sure. Well, guys, I want to be mindful of your time and things like that. I've got just a few more little questions for both of you. Kind of speaking to the amount of time that like both of you have spent in the sport. Carolyn, starting with you, like have after all this time and being able to continue running into your 70s now, having like the 70 plus course record at JFK, having this highly competitive time in your career, what sort of advice would you give to people that are just like getting started now in order to, you know, little tidbits for anybody getting started now?
Well, for one thing, I like to look at the JFK as like three races in one. Like the first objective is to get through the Appalachian Trail without falling or twisting an ankle or whatever. And then I'm always thankful to get down those cliffs. And then I do like a run walk strategy on the canal. Like kind of some people go certain minutes. I kind of just go how I feel. And I think last year I was doing maybe 12 or 13-minute miles on the canal. And then the last 8 miles, it's kind of rolling country roads. Like walk up the hills and then push myself down and try to catch people that are ahead of me. And I can usually count on those last 8 miles taking around exactly 2 hours. So it's try to get sub 15-minute miles.
Yeah, so I asked you how you fueled that first one. We weren't quite sure, just based on the fact that there were no aid stations and things like that. Have you completely modernized and are on the, I think what my listeners would refer to as the high carb revolution, or are you what are you doing out there for fueling and hydration?
Well, I have a belt that has a bottle in the back that I have with me all the time, so I can drink whenever I need to. I have Powerade in that with some just diluted a little bit with water. Sometimes at the aid stations I grab some Coke, especially towards the end of the race. And I take I like the goo. Um,
I think it's just goo. I think that's the name of it.
yeah,
I think goo is the
It's like the original brand of gel too. So
yeah,
most people just call them goons now.
yeah
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It just
they're
starts
good.
with you.
yeah oh yeah
I think they're going to have like power or gels.
okay.
Also, I like
I mean, nothing beats Coke. Nothing beats Coke.
yeah, and I like the potato. Oh, one place has grilled cheese sandwiches like, and then towards the end, they have little cooked potatoes. Also, if it's especially cold day, I like the chicken broth or whatever. It's some of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know what's going to taste good.
Yeah. So, Carolyn, so I think the conditions will probably be, pretty easy this year. What's the worst that you've experienced out there or the craziest that you've experienced out on the JFK course?
So I wrote down. Let's see what. So back in '85, only a couple weeks before the JFK, the Potomac River had flooded. So the towpath was really muddy the whole way, and I think somebody even like their shoes got stuck in it. Yeah, that was, and then couple years later, it was very cold, and the wind chill factor was -15 at the start. So I just wore an extra layer of clothing that year. Also, in 2018, there were several inches of snow on the Appalachian Trail. So the further back you were in the pack, like the worse it got, like with the mud. That was a muddy year. And that's the one year I always wear just road shoes. That's the one year I wished I would have had trail shoes to get through that because I was sliding around quite a bit. It took me an hour longer than the previous year to get through all that. So there's something that stand out.
Is there anything you take with you just to be like prepared for things that might happen, like a little trick that you carry with you?
I usually carry some Band-Aids, um, little.
Okay, yeah, that's important. Yeah, that can work in a lot of ways. How about you, David? Any crazy weather or conditions that you've encountered and ways you've dealt with it?
Well, I've had a few. We definitely lucked out last year at JFK where it was like it did snow a little bit the night before, but then it ended up being not too muddy on the trail and just like ideal temperatures. But I've had a few crazy races over the years. I think like Broken Arrow out in California jumps out with some of the snow years where like the entire course, the first year I ran it was like just slush because they had such a big winter that there were like 8 feet of snow still on the ground. So all the downhills that year for the 50K, people were like actually sitting down, and it was like a luge run, like sliding down. So I was very glad that year that I had some background as a skier to slide down the downhills. And then probably the toughest conditions I've raced in were maybe this year at the Transvolcania ultra marathon. I spent a lot of last winter like over in Europe doing these ski mountaineering races and never had too bad conditions or never got very cold in the race. And then I went to this island, La Palma, in the Canary Islands for an ultra marathon, and you're like pretty close to the equator. It's a tropical island. So of course I didn't bring lots of cold weather gear, and a storm blew in, and we were starting like at the south end of the island, and it was like raining sideways at the beginning, and I was shivering. I had my one little like wind jacket on already, and so we started running up, and you're running from like sea level literally all the way up to 7,000 feet at the top of the volcano, and it just got colder and windier the whole way, and eventually you're on the ridge like totally exposed. So I think probably almost every runner out there was not prepared for how cold it was going to be. So I went completely hypothermic, and I got to the aid station at 50K, which is the high point, and I hadn't even realized like I couldn't think straight. I was shivering uncontrollably, and unfortunately I wasn't prepared enough. I had to drop out of that race, but it was wild. Yeah, the coldest I've ever been was on a ultra marathon in a tropical island.
Oh my!
Wow, that's intense. That's very intense. But like in your position now, like as like at the top of the races or front of the race, like would you like change the way that you race these races kind of like based on that, or is like what you bring with you, or is that something like that's just part of the risk of it?
I think I probably learned my lesson a little bit, and I will next time I'll bring like I probably would have brought like a thicker jacket. I just haven't even like traveled with that stuff because I was like, oh, I'm going to a tropical island. I'll be swimming on the beaches, and I'd like ask people for advice, and they're like, oh, it can be really really hot, so make sure you like hydrate and like do cooling strategies
Mm.
because it's often like very sunny and hot there. So I just was completely unprepared, and it was like one of those kind of things where I pride myself a little bit because I'd never dropped out of an ultra marathon before.
Mm.
And I was at the point, like, got to the top, I was like, well, I could keep going, maybe, but, like, it could have gotten dangerous. I wasn't, I'd been running in the lead pack, and got very cold and was going the wrong direction. So it was, like, a tough decision to make. Like, oh, I'm a professional runner now. I could try to tough it out, but it could be dangerous, or I could injure myself for the rest of the season. So it was a really tough decision to drop out of a race for the first time. But it was tough, but it was the right decision to make.
Yeah, well. Let's hope we don't encounter any conditions like that this year.
I don't think we'll have that, but yeah, we are currently in a snowstorm up here in Vermont, so I'll get a little practice if I go out for a run tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we only go up to like I don't know how many 900 feet or something like that at JFK. What's the highest elevation we even get to? I don't know. It's not that high and not very exposed either. So shouldn't have any.
All right at the beginning too, the higher elevation.
Yeah. We just get up there and run along that ridge for a while.
Remember, one year I was about halfway through the race, and the weather had been, my jacket, like I could take the sleeves off of it, so I handed those to my friends at Antietam. Well, suddenly the weather really, really made a change, and the temperature dropped, and it even started sleeting. So, and some people only had like a t-shirt, and they really ran into trouble. I think some of the people at the aid stations were giving them an extra shirt to wear, and then I got my sleeves back on, and that helped me to finish then.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times what happens, at least from my experience in this, and my experience is limited compared to both of yours, but is it kind of depends on which way my body's going at that point in time. Because if I'm ramping up and I'm heating up, it doesn't matter. The sleet could come in. I mean, within reason, right? I mean, the real temperatures really drop. It's crazy. But if like you're starting to slow down and your core temperature is starting to drop already, it's just like, it's game over in those situations. So being prepared for that is very, very, very important. So as much as we say that, like, you know, don't have to be, super worried about one this year. It's always good to have a little bit of a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just kind of wrapping up here a little bit. Wanted to kind of go into kind of current and future goals. David, let's start with you as far as, coming back to JFK, the goal for this year and maybe, any kind of future big goals you want to put out there.
Oh yeah, I think it's I'm coming back to JFK, and I want to run a really smart race, but the goal definitely is to. I think it's too hard to plan on going for the course record. So my goal is to go out there and run competitively and try to defend my win from last year. And if it goes great, then who knows? Maybe the course record could be in play again, but it's going to depend on the day and the weather and all that. So yeah, I'm feeling fit and ready and pretty excited for that. And then yeah, looking forward to the rest of my year. I did qualify back in August for the Western States 100, so I'm super excited to race my first 100.
Wow.
Do you have other tune-ups planned for that?
It's still kind of up in the air. I'll definitely run a couple shorter ultras, and I grew up as a skier, and I'm still a skier, so I'm still gonna stick with the normal plan, which is I'll end my running season after JFK, and I'll do a good bit of skiing throughout the winter, and then try to do a really gradual build up. Just like I know Carolyn said, she likes to take 3 months off during tax season. I do think it helps me mentally and for my body to not just be trying to run 12 months a year. So yeah, I might try to run a little bit more through the winter than most years, but yeah, we'll give myself a good break after JFK.
Nice. Carolyn, your goals?
Well, I hope to have another finish this year, and that would make 38. So then possibly 2 more after that. If my body holds together.
So your big goal is to do 40?
If possible.
But not that what is it, octogenarian?
What's that
Yeah.
again?
The 80 age group.
I think
Is that something
I think that's probably a little.
makes you?
I think that might be a little out of reach to be still.
Yeah.
You gotta take it year by year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not trying to put pressure on him.
It's incredible what you've done. I just hope I can still run when I'm 70. It's really impressive to see the consistency and commitment.
Yeah, I'm wishing you both so much luck. Coming into JFK this year and hopefully in years beyond. So it's so impressed by both you guys just in different regards. It's so incredible. And I expect that the most likely finisher out of the three of us is you, Carolyn.
100%, yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your stories here with the greater community. I'm excited for your races down at JFK and beyond. I'm going to be looking at both of your results afterwards for sure. And, following on the stream, and hopefully I get to meet you at the expo or afterwards and that type of stuff as well. But yeah, just thanks so much for giving your time to me, to the community, and for joining tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. I hope to meet you both in person. Yeah, next week.
All right. Well, for us here at the Bear Right Trail podcast and my guests here tonight, thank you all for listening, and happy trails.